It's time for the Big Three and today's topics. On second thought, don't drink the water, and this week's must read. So let's bring in my Big Three panel. Deputy White House editor for Politico, Rebecca Sinderbrand. MSNBC contributor and former Bush Cheney senior advisor, Robert Traynham. And columnist with the Chicago Defender and professor of political science at Hiram College, Jason Johnson. Good to see you all, so thanks for joining me.
Good afternoon.
Let's first go, guys, to On Second Thought, because just today, the editorial board of the New Jersey Star-Ledger says it now regrets its endorsement of Christie for governor last year. We have reached out, we should say, for comment from Christie's office, and we'll update our reporting certainly with any response we get. But Rebecca, is this premature since not all the facts are out, or does the mismanagement of this whole incident warrant this reconsideration?
Well, you know, it's an interesting editorial if you read it further, of course, authored by Tom Moran of the Star-Ledger editorial board, talking about, look, if we knew then what we know now, we might not have made the same decision. But on the other hand, kind of when you read it still further, he says, look, let's say we're talking about a Republican presidential primary, Christie against a Rand Paul. Would we endorse him? We probably would. And so it's an interesting kind of dilemma that they're facing, weighing the kind of pluses and minuses. Again, pointing to the drawbacks, acknowledging the drawbacks, saying that they would make a different decision, but at the same time saying you have to take the sum of all the candidate before you make your call.
Well, and to that point, Jason, at the very same time, this editorial board in today's piece also says, look, Christie's made good progress on education, also on pension and health reforms. So have you ever heard of a paper's editorial board doing something like this, regretting a past endorsement?
Yeah. It reminds me of the Detroit Free Press and their slam-endorsement of John Conyers in 2012, where they said, we're kind of endorsing him even though we don't really like him and we hope he retires soon. And that does actually happen in newspapers from time to time. So I can understand. I thought what was most compelling about this editorial is them saying, we knew he was a bully. We knew he was a bully at the time. And so I think it's integrity on the part of the newspaper. I think it's a realization that they had a tough choice to make. And I think this will probably be the last time Christie gets any endorsement from that paper or in a lot of others in the state of New Jersey. You
know, Robert, some new details are trickling out every day, it seems, in this story. What do you think is the best approach for Governor Christie at this point to handle this?
Well, let me just step back for a second and just say, look, newspapers make endorsements in the moment. And the moment was, let's remember this, this was an incumbent governor who was about 40 to 50 points ahead of his Democratic opponent. This was a Republican governor that had Democrats, literally mom and dad Democrats, literally saying, I'm going to vote for you, governor. This was a governor who we all knew that was a bully, but who spoke the truth, and he was very, very direct. So, you know, let's just put this in context. Now, however, I would also say, to answer your question specifically, Alex, is that the governor's office has not handled this not well at all. You know, one could make the argument that he did a very good job at his 2-hour press conference about a month ago, but the follow-up in terms of that memo that he sent out, or staff sent out, in reference to David Wildstein and so forth, has been absolutely horrific. So, you know, I think we need just to put this in context and to take a deep breath and step back here and again, put this in context.
Okay, let's move on to don't drink the water, because it was a month ago today, guys, that chemical spill happened in West Virginia, impacting 300,000 residents with a water ban that lasted for more than a week in some areas. But now you have several schools. They've been closed again after being opened. Officials are handing out the bottled water again, and there's still no official word on the status of the water, though we should say that they have tested the water on the state's behalf many times, and, you know, it's come back okay. Residents are the ones that are saying, we do not want to drink this water. Well, here's West Virginia's Secretary of State.
First off, we hear it's one chemical. Then we hear it's 2 chemicals. First, we hear it's 7,500 gallons. Then we hear it's 10,000 gallons. One day, we're told that the water is safe. The next day, we hear that pregnant women should not drink it. It doesn't add up. Either it's safe or it's not safe.
Jason, what's your reaction?
I think this is terrible, and it has to do with the lack of science that we have to see if our water is safe. It has to do with some of the weaknesses of the EPA. The reason that they were telling local residents in West Virginia that the water was safe is because they said it has non-detect. They haven't been able to find any chemicals, but that doesn't mean the water is clean. So I think this is a real indicator that we need to put a lot more money, a lot more research into making sure that water is safe, not just in West Virginia, but in other states. Because if the only standard that this water is safe is we can't find anything wrong, that's not something that I'm going to feel safe enough bathing myself or anyone who I care about in my family.
Hey, Rebecca, this is America in the 21st century here. Is this a failure of government?
Well, you know, and the interesting thing is, even as you have all, you know, some of these experts coming out and saying that the chemicals in the water have kind of pulled back to non-detectable levels or to levels that they consider acceptable, you have Senator Rockefeller coming out and saying, look, if it's me, I don't trust the experts on this necessarily. This is a month after the spill or the spill was first reported, and you have a United States senator saying, look, don't necessarily trust what the experts have to say here. And a lot of people in West Virginia feeling the exact same way right now.
Yeah. Hey, Robert, let's look at what it all is. It's a private company. This leak happened on its watch. They've been not particularly forthcoming with taking responsibility for it, really, in any way that people really, you know, feel is honest and really caters to what they're looking to hear. So, give your thoughts on that. I mean, it's just a private company gone bad?
Well, of course, and it's a perfect storm. It's a private company gone bad. It is my understanding is it's a very weak local legislature there that has a lot of private individuals that are on the bankroll there. And so what you have here is a perfect storm here. And unfortunately, yet again, what you have is the average American, the average West Virginian, who is literally hearing their public officials saying, I don't have confidence in the experts, and the experts saying, I don't know. And so the question becomes is, what do I do? I'm living paycheck to paycheck here, and bottled water is very expensive, not only just to drink, but also to bathe and so forth. So what do I do? And so the question becomes, Alex, is what do we do as a society to help those who are not in need and for those who cannot fend for themselves, who are desperately screaming for help?
Okay, guys. Hey, thanks for that. We're going to fly through our must-reads after the break. That's a hint. You're going to have to talk fast. We're going to have the story of a female Buffalo soldier.